Have you ever gotten that feeling, knowing deep down you need to start, but you just don't? You know what you want. You know what needs to happen, but something always holds you back, like there's an invisible wall between you and your goals. What if I told you that the reason you're stuck isn't a lack of motivation, but something much more common, something almost everyone struggles with, but nobody wants to admit? Today, I'm going to show you why waiting to feel ready is one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves, and how you can flip the script starting right now. By the time you finish this video, you'll know exactly how to force yourself to take action, even on those days when you have zero energy, zero confidence, and zero motivation. Stick with me, because what you're about to learn could change everything you thought you knew about success and help you get moving for real today. Have you ever watched days slip away knowing exactly what you should do, but somehow nothing changes? It's not that you're lazy, and it's definitely not because you don't care. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week, and then next month. Before you know it, a whole year has vanished, and that dream you once had is just gathering dust somewhere in your mind. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Almost everyone has that thing they desperately want to start. Maybe it's a project, a workout routine, a business idea, or even just getting out of bed earlier. We see people around us making progress, moving forward, chasing their goals, and we wonder, how are they doing it? What do they have that I don't? But here's the secret. Most of those people weren't ready when they started either. We all have that little voice inside, whispering doubts, reminding us of past failures, warning us about what could go wrong. Sometimes it feels safer to just stay still, because staying still means you can't mess up, right? But what nobody tells you is that the pain of not doing anything, the regret of missing out, hurts 1,000 times more than making a mistake. Regret is sneaky. It builds up quietly over time. And one day, you wake up and realize you're stuck in the same place with the same old fears. Scientists have even studied why we freeze. It turns out our brains are wired to avoid discomfort, even if that discomfort is the exact thing we need to grow. We're built to take the easy road, to save energy, to pick comfort over change. That's just how we're designed, but it doesn't mean you have to stay trapped by it. Think about this. If you ask people at the end of their lives what they regret most, it's almost never what they did. It's what they didn't do. It's the chances they never took, the risks they never dared, the dreams they left on the shelf. Nobody wants to look back and wonder, what if? If you're watching this right now, there's probably something in your life you wish you'd started already. You don't have to feel ashamed about it. You're not broken, you're not lazy, and you're definitely not alone. The truth is, everyone struggles to start. Everyone has moments where they let fear or comfort win. But you have a choice right now to change that pattern. You can choose to take the first step, no matter how small it is, and finally break free from the cycle of waiting and watching. And here's the thing, once you start, even with the tiniest step, you set off a chain reaction. But more on that in a minute. Let's talk about the big lie we all fall for, the myth of motivation. We've all heard it before, right? You just need to find your motivation. People say, when you're motivated, everything is easy. But that idea is not just wrong. It actually keeps a lot of people stuck in the same place for years. Let's get real. Most of us wait for a feeling before we start. We wait for that magical morning when we wake up, jump out of bed, and just want to do the hard thing. But those mornings almost never come. If you always wait for motivation, you'll be waiting forever. Here's something that might surprise you. Motivation almost never comes before you start. It comes after you start. The moment you take even a tiny action, something weird happens in your brain. Suddenly, you feel a little more interested, a little more excited, and sometimes even proud. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Think about a time when you finally forced yourself to go for a run, or to clean your room, or to call someone you were avoiding. The hardest part was getting up, putting on your shoes, or dialing the number. But once you took that first step, you probably thought, this isn't so bad. You started feeling better, not worse. Science backs this up too. Psychologists have a name for it, the behavioral activation principle. When you move, when you do something, anything, your brain starts to reward you with a small rush of energy. It's like your mind gives you a high five for getting started and then sends more motivation your way. Some of the world's most successful people, from business owners to athletes to artists, will tell you the same thing. They didn't wait to feel inspired. They just started, often feeling nervous, bored, or even scared. They figured out that if they took the first step, the feelings they needed would follow. Here's a quick story. Thomas Edison, the guy who invented the light bulb, didn't just sit around hoping for a lightning bolt of inspiration. He failed more than 1,000 times. He just kept trying, no matter how he felt. Edison once said, "Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration." That means the real magic happens when you act, not when you wait for a perfect mood. So, next time you catch yourself saying, "I don't feel like it," remember that you don't have to. You can start even when you're tired, or stressed, or not in the mood. And when you do, you'll notice your mind slowly catching up, cheering you on as you go. But let's be honest, there's another reason we don't act, and it's bigger than motivation. It's something we all feel, and most people never talk about it: fear and doubt. Let's dig into why that keeps us stuck, and what to do about it. Let's talk about the real reason most of us freeze when it's time to act. It isn't just a lack of motivation. Most of the time, it's fear, plain and simple. Sometimes it's fear of failing, or fear of looking silly, or fear of what other people might think. And sometimes it's just a small doubt that creeps in and whispers, "What if you mess up?" You know the feeling, right? You think about starting something new, and suddenly your mind is full of questions. What if I try and it doesn't work? What if I look stupid in front of my friends? What if everyone else is better than me? Your heart beats faster, your stomach gets tight, and all the excitement you felt just a minute ago starts to fade away. Here's the thing, your brain is trying to protect you. It hates the idea of risk or discomfort, even if it's something good for you. A long time ago, this kind of fear kept people safe from danger, but now it just keeps us stuck on the couch, missing out on life. There's a funny thing about fear, though. Most of the things we worry about never actually happen. If you think back, how many times did you imagine the worst, only to realize later it wasn't such a big deal? Our minds love to blow up small problems until they seem huge. Scientists call this catastrophizing. It means our brains can take a tiny worry and spin it into a disaster movie in our heads. It's like turning a puddle into an ocean before you ever take a step. The crazy part is, the more you think about what could go wrong, the scarier it feels. It's like feeding a monster that lives in your head. The more you feed it, the bigger it grows. But the minute you take action, that monster starts to shrink. Every time you do something you're afraid of, your mind learns that it's not actually so scary after all. Here's a quick challenge you can try right now. Think of something you've been putting off because of fear. Instead of thinking about every step or how it might turn out, just do the first tiny part. If you want to start running, just put on your shoes. If you want to call someone, just open your phone and type their number. Most of the time, once you do that tiny thing, the fear melts away. Let's look at a real-life story. There's a guy named Edwin Barnes. He wanted to work with Thomas Edison, but he had no money, no plan, and no connections. He could have listened to his fear and stayed home, but instead, he hopped on a train and showed up at Edison's office. At first, he got a low-level job, but he never stopped believing he could do more. And because he took that first big step, he eventually became Edison's business partner. Barnes didn't wait until he was brave. He acted while he was scared, and that's the trick. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward while you're still shaking inside. So next time fear tries to boss you around, remember this: everybody feels it, but you don't have to let it decide your future. Start small, move forward, and every step you take chips away at that fear until it has nothing left to hold on to. Now, let's talk about why that first tiny step matters so much and how the power of momentum can make everything easier. Here's something a lot of people get wrong about taking action. They think you need to make a giant leap, or completely change your life in one day. But in reality, most big changes start with something tiny, something so small it almost feels silly. You might have heard of the 5-minute rule. It's simple. Promise yourself you'll just work on your goal for 5 minutes. Not an hour, not a full day, just 5 honest minutes. If you're dreading a workout, tell yourself, I'll just put on my shoes and walk around the block. If you're avoiding a mountain of homework, say, I'll only read the first page. You'd be amazed at what happens next. Once you start moving, your brain actually rewards you. You feel a small burst of pride, maybe even relief. And more often than not, those 5 minutes turn into 15 or 30 or even more. It's like your body just needed a gentle push to get the wheels turning. Think of it like pushing a heavy car. At first, it feels impossible to move. But once you get it rolling, even just a little, it suddenly gets easier. Momentum kicks in, and what once felt impossible now feels totally doable. A lot of people miss out because they wait for the perfect moment. They tell themselves, I'll start when I have more energy, or I'll wait until things calm down. But perfect moments almost never arrive. There's always another distraction, another excuse, another reason to wait. Let me give you a real example. A friend of mine wanted to write a book, but kept waiting for inspiration. She finally decided to write just 1 paragraph a day, just a few lines. It sounded almost pointless at first. But after a few weeks, she looked back and realized she had written several chapters, almost without noticing. What mattered most wasn't the size of her goal, but that she showed up each day and made a little bit of progress. The science backs this up too. Studies show that small wins release dopamine, a chemical in your brain that makes you feel good and helps you build habits. That's why crossing something off your to-do list, even if it's small, can boost your mood and push you to do more. So if you're staring down a big project or scary change, don't try to swallow the whole thing in one bite. Break it down. Focus on the first step, then the next. Celebrate every win, no matter how tiny it seems. You'll be shocked at how quickly those little steps add up. Before you know it, you'll be running instead of crawling. You'll see that the mountain wasn't as tall as it looked from the bottom. And once you get moving, you might notice something strange. Procrastination, the urge to wait until later, starts to lose its grip on you. So let's talk about why procrastination is so sneaky and what you can do to beat it for good. Let's be honest, almost everyone has put something off until tomorrow at least once in their life. Sometimes it feels harmless, like it won't make much of a difference if you skip a day or a week or even a month. But when you add up all those little delays, you end up losing months or even years you can never get back. Procrastination is sneaky. It wears all kinds of disguises. Sometimes it pretends to be planning, where you spend hours making lists or researching instead of actually starting. Other times, it shows up as perfectionism, telling you things have to be just right before you begin. It can even sound like you're just waiting for the right mood or free afternoon. Here's a secret. Nobody tells you. If you always wait for the perfect conditions, you'll never start. The weather won't always be nice. You won't always feel your best. Life gets messy, and there's never a time when everything lines up perfectly. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets. It's like quicksand. The more you stand still, the deeper you sink, and the harder it is to pull yourself out. Every day you put off that project, or workout, or tough conversation, it grows bigger in your mind until it feels almost impossible to tackle. But you can break free, even if you've been stuck for a long time. Start by using the 5-minute rule we talked about earlier. Promise yourself just 5 minutes of effort. Make your first step so easy, it's almost laughable. Once you're in motion, you'll be surprised how much you can get done. Accountability is a powerful tool too. Tell a friend about your goal, or write it down somewhere you can see it every day. Some people even post online about what they want to achieve. Just saying it out loud makes it real, and you'll want to stick with it. Rewards help as well. If you finish a task, give yourself a treat. Maybe it's your favorite snack, a walk outside, or just some guilt-free time to relax. Little rewards make hard things easier, and your brain will start to crave the feeling of progress. Another trick is to break big projects into tiny pieces. If your goal feels huge, chop it down into steps so small they can be finished in a day or less. Each time you finish a step, check it off and let yourself feel good about that win. Remember, success isn't about doing something huge once in a while. It's about showing up even just a little every single day. Tiny steps, taken over time, add up to something massive. So don't let procrastination steal any more of your future. Take back your time, your energy, and your dreams. And if you're thinking, but what if I still don't feel like it? That's where discipline comes in, doing what matters, even when you're not in the mood. Let's talk about how to build that next. Let's be real, discipline is what separates people who dream from people who actually get things done. Motivation might get you started, but discipline is what keeps you moving when the excitement wears off. Think about those mornings when your alarm rings and you would rather do anything but get up. The bed feels warm and your body tells you just 5 more minutes. But if you listen to that voice every day, nothing changes and your goals start to slip away. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets and the less you have to argue with yourself every day. At first, it feels really tough. You might have to force yourself to get up, to start that workout, to open that book, or to do that thing you have been putting off. But every time you show up for yourself, even when you do not feel like it, you build trust with yourself. And that trust is powerful. It means you can count on yourself, no matter how you feel. Soon, what once felt impossible becomes your new normal. Your mind starts to believe, I can do hard things. That is how you grow, and that is how you win. Let's look at how habits work in your brain. When you do something over and over, your brain starts to build a new path, kind of like carving a trail through the woods. The first time is hard, but every time you walk that path, it gets clearer, smoother, and easier to travel. That is why habits are so important. The more you repeat something, the less effort it takes each time. You do not have to be perfect to be disciplined. You just need to keep coming back, even after you miss a day, even if you slip up. Discipline is about consistency, not perfection. The best athletes, writers, or entrepreneurs in the world all have days when they do not feel like it, but they show up anyway. One trick is to lower the bar for what counts as a win. On your hardest days, just doing the minimum is enough. If you cannot run 5 kilometers, walk around the block. If you cannot write a whole chapter, write 1 sentence. If you cannot clean the whole house, just do the dishes. The point is, you keep your promise to yourself. Some days will be easier, some days will be tough. But every small act of discipline adds up, and before you know it, you have become the kind of person who takes action, no matter what. People might call it willpower, but really, it is just a choice you make over and over. And every time you make that choice, it gets a little bit easier. Now, you might be thinking, what if life throws me something hard or I hit a setback? That is where turning pain into power comes in. Let's talk about how to use tough times to fuel your growth. Nobody wants to go through hard times, but the truth is, pain is part of life, and it is also a powerful teacher if you let it be. We all hit rough patches. Maybe you failed a test, lost a job, got rejected, or just had one of those days where nothing goes right. When you are hurting, it is easy to feel like giving up, or to wonder if it is even worth trying again. But here is something most people miss. Some of the strongest, happiest, and most successful people in the world have gone through things much tougher than you might guess. They learned how to use pain as fuel instead of letting it hold them back. They decided, this is not the end for me. I am going to use this as motivation to come back stronger. Think about anyone you admire. Chances are they have a story of struggle. Maybe it was losing everything and having to start from scratch, or failing in front of everyone, or being told they would never make it. They did not let those moments define them. Instead, they learned from them and used the lesson to get better. The key is to see pain as part of the process, not as a stop sign. Pain does not mean you are broken. It just means you are growing, and growth almost always hurts a little. Remember, when you work out and your muscles ache, it means you are getting stronger. The same thing happens in your mind and your life when you push through tough times. If you find yourself stuck in a setback, ask, what can I learn from this? Sometimes, pain is pointing you in a new direction or showing you what really matters. Other times, it is just reminding you that you are tougher than you think. Every time you get back up, you prove to yourself that you can survive the storm. You can even use pain as a reason to keep moving. Some people run from pain, but the ones who grow let it light a fire inside them. Maybe you want to prove someone wrong, or show yourself what you are capable of, or just make sure you do not waste another day. The most important thing is not to give up. Everyone faces hard times, but not everyone uses them as a launch pad. If you choose to see your struggle as a stepping stone, you will come out stronger than before. The next time life knocks you down, do not stay down. Get up, take a deep breath, and use that pain to push forward. Let it remind you that you are alive, you are learning, and you are still in the game. Now, once you have turned your pain into power, it is time to use that energy to set real, clear goals. Let's talk about how to make your goals simple, doable, and almost impossible to ignore. Now, let's get real about goals. A lot of people say they want to change, but they never take the time to write down what that actually means. If your goals are just floating around in your mind, they will fade away or get lost in the noise of daily life. But when you make your goals simple, clear, and real, something powerful happens. Your brain starts to notice opportunities you never saw before. First, forget about giant, vague goals like, I want to be successful, or I want to get healthy. Those are dreams, not goals. You need to get specific so you always know if you are moving forward or just spinning your wheels. A good goal is something you can picture in your mind, break down into steps, and actually measure. Instead of, I want to get fit, try, I will walk for 20 minutes every day before breakfast. Instead of, I want to write a book, say, I will write 1 page every morning before work. These goals are simple, clear, and easy to track. Research shows that people who write down their goals are way more likely to achieve them. When you write something on paper or type it on your phone, your brain treats it as a promise. It is not just an idea anymore, it is a plan. You can put your goals somewhere you will see it every day, like your bedroom wall or your phone background, so you never forget what you are working toward. The next step is to break your goal into tiny actions you can do today. Big changes feel scary, but small steps are easy to start. If your goal is to save money, start by saving $1 a day. If your goal is to get better at speaking English, learn 1 new word every day. These steps may look small, but they build momentum, and that is what creates real change. Do not worry if your goal seems simple or boring. The point is to start and to keep moving, even if you do not see big results right away. Every small win is proof that you can do it, and those wins add up fast. And remember to check in with yourself. Once a week, ask, am I moving forward? What worked and what did not? Adjust your steps if you need to, and celebrate every bit of progress, no matter how tiny it seems. If you want even more support, tell a friend or family member about your goal. When you share your plans out loud, you feel more responsible for sticking with them. And you might even inspire someone else to start working on their own goal too. So, keep your goals real, simple, and clear. Break them down, track your progress, and keep going even when it gets hard. Because when you have a clear target, it is so much easier to take action, and you are much less likely to quit. Now that you have set your goals, the people around you can help you stay on track. Let's talk about how your environment and your friends can make all the difference. Let's be honest, the people you spend time with can make or break your progress. You might not even notice it at first, but your friends, your family, and even your coworkers influence how you think and what you do every day. If you are surrounded by people who always complain, make excuses, or never try anything new, it gets easier to do the same. You might find yourself falling into old habits just because everyone else around you is doing it. But when you are around action takers, people who push themselves, try new things, and never settle, you start to pick up their energy too. It is like catching a cold, but in a good way. You hear them talk about their wins, their struggles, and their plans, and suddenly you feel more inspired to chase your own goals. There is a saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So, if you want to take more action, spend time with people who are already moving forward. It does not mean you need to leave your friends behind, but it does mean you need to pay attention to who lifts you up and who holds you back. Let me tell you about 2 friends I know. One of them was always ready with an excuse. Every time he wanted to try something new, he would say, "It is too hard," or maybe later. He spent most days talking about dreams, but never took a single step. The other friend was the total opposite. He jumped in, even when he was not sure what he was doing. He was always the first to say, "Let's go," or "Let's give it a try." Even if things did not work out, he learned, laughed it off, and tried again. And you know what? He always seemed to get luckier just because he was willing to move. When you spend time with action takers, you get used to seeing people try and fail and try again. You start to believe it is normal to put yourself out there, and you realize that failure is not something to be ashamed of. It is just part of learning. You can find action takers anywhere. They might be in your family, at work, at the gym, or even in online groups or classes. Look for people who cheer you on, ask about your progress, and call you out if you are falling back into old habits. Mentors are great too. A mentor is just someone who has done what you want to do and is willing to share what they learn. They can give you advice, encourage you, and help you avoid common mistakes. You can also become an accountability buddy with someone. Check in every week, talk about your wins and your struggles, and keep each other moving forward. If you cannot find these people in real life, look online. There are groups for everything: running, reading, learning languages, building businesses, and more. Surround yourself with people who want to grow, and you will start to grow too. Remember, you do not have to do this alone. Find your tribe, connect with people who want to take action, and you will see just how much farther you can go. Now, with the right people in your corner, you are ready to master one of the most important skills of all: using your time wisely and focusing on what really matters. If there is one thing everyone has in common, it is that we all get the same 24 hours each day. No matter how busy you are or what your goals look like, you have the same amount of time as the most successful people in the world. The real question is, how are you using your time? Are you in control, or do you let distractions and other people's demands steal your day? Time is the most valuable thing you own. You can always make more money, but you could never get back a lost hour. If you are not careful, small distractions can eat away at your day before you even notice. Checking your phone, scrolling social media, or saying yes to things you do not care about can drain your energy and your focus. One of the best ways to take back your time is to plan your day the night before. Make a short list of your top 3 most important tasks. Put them where you can see them as soon as you wake up. If you start your day with purpose, you are less likely to get lost in the noise. It also helps to block out time for focused work. Pick an hour when you are most awake, turn off your notifications, and let people know you are not available. You can even use a timer work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break and repeat. You will be surprised how much you can get done when you are not interrupted. Be honest about your time leaks. We all have them. Maybe it is an extra long lunch, a TV show you did not plan to watch, or just daydreaming. Write down everything you do for a day or two, and you will see where your time really goes. Once you know, you can start making better choices. Protect your golden hours, those times when you have the most energy and focus. Save your hardest or most important work for those times. Move easier tasks, like answering emails or cleaning, to later in the day when you are not at your best. And remember, it is okay to say no. You do not have to do everything people ask. If something is not important or does not bring you closer to your goal, skip it or save it for later. Every no to something unimportant is a yes to your real dreams. If you struggle to focus, try changing your environment. Work in a tidy space, put your phone in another room, or listen to music that helps you concentrate. Sometimes, a small change can make a huge difference. Do not try to be perfect. Some days will be better than others, and that is okay. The most important thing is to keep making small improvements day after day. When you master your time and your focus, you start to feel more in control of your life. You will see results faster, and you will have more time for the things and people that really matter. And if you ever feel like you are falling behind or you make a mistake, remember, failure is not the end. Let's talk about why learning from failure is the secret sauce to success. Let's talk about something that scares a lot of people: failure. Most of us grow up thinking that failure is something to avoid, like it is a sign you are not good enough or that you should give up. But the truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is one of the main building blocks of success, and it is actually a signal that you are pushing yourself to try something new. If you look at anyone who has achieved big things, you will find a history of setbacks and mistakes. Famous inventors, athletes, and entrepreneurs have all failed more times than they can count. For example, Thomas Edison is remembered for inventing the light bulb, but he tried and failed thousands of times before he got it right. He once said, "I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that do not work." That is the mindset you want. When you fail, you learn what does not work, and you get another chance to try again with new information. Failure gives you feedback, not just about your skills, but also about your mindset and your habits. It teaches you how to adjust your plan, how to stay patient, and how to keep moving, even when things get hard. Think about the last time you failed at something. Maybe it was a test, a job interview, a project, or a relationship. Did you quit, or did you get back up and try again? If you chose to try again, you are already stronger and wiser than you were before. Here's the key: do not take failure personally. It is not a sign that you are broken or hopeless. It just means you tried something difficult, and that is something to be proud of. The only real failure is giving up before you have learned the lesson. If you can change the way you think about failure, you will become fearless. Every mistake becomes a stepping stone. Every setback is just a detour on the road to your goal. When you fail fast and learn fast, you speed up your journey to success. A lot of people hide their failures, but the bravest people share them. They talk about what went wrong, what they learned, and how they bounced back. This does not just help them grow, it helps other people see that failure is normal and nothing to be ashamed of. So, the next time you make a mistake, pause and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Write it down, share it with someone you trust, and use it as fuel to keep going. If you do, you will never truly fail, because you will always be moving forward. And that brings us to the real turning point in any journey, the moment you decide to stop waiting, stop doubting, and finally take real action. Let's look at what that moment looks like and how it can change your life forever. There comes a time in everyone's life when you get tired of waiting. You get tired of seeing other people move forward while you stand in the same place, watching your dreams drift further away. You might be scared, or you might feel stuck, but something deep inside you whispers, "What if I just tried?" That moment is different for everyone. For some, it comes after a big setback or a painful loss. For others, it sneaks up on a regular day, maybe after a hard conversation or a sudden spark of inspiration. But when it arrives, you feel it. It is like a switch flips inside you, and suddenly, you see that taking action is the only thing that will ever move you forward. Picture this. You have put off starting for weeks, maybe months, maybe even years. You have replayed every worry in your mind, pictured every possible way you might fail. Then one day you wake up and realize you are tired of doubting yourself. You are tired of missing out while everyone else tries, fails, and learns. Maybe you make a decision, just a small one, to do the first step. You pick up the phone, lace up your shoes, write one sentence, or send one email. At first, your hands might shake, your voice might crack, and your heart might pound. But as soon as you take that step, the fear loses its power. You suddenly feel lighter, even proud of yourself for starting. That is the magic of action. Even the smallest move breaks the grip of fear and doubt. You realize it never had to be perfect. You just had to start. Every big success story begins with one simple decision: to stop waiting and just do it. In that moment, your whole world starts to shift. You see that progress is possible. You feel a sense of control because you are finally steering your own life instead of letting your worries and what-ifs decide for you. The next steps get easier. Momentum builds, and each little win makes the next one feel less scary. People around you might notice something is different, even if you have not told them what changed. You start to believe in yourself a little more each day. If you are listening to this and feeling that itch, that small voice telling you it is time, do not push it away. Let this be your moment. Let this be the day you stop wishing, stop waiting, and just begin. Your life can change with one choice. Now, let's pull everything together and look at what you have learned and why today could be the first day of a new chapter for you. Let's take a second to look back at what you have learned today. You started by seeing how easy it is to get stuck in place, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. You learned that motivation does not show up on its own. It comes after you take the first step, no matter how small. You saw how fear and doubt are normal, but they shrink every time you move forward, even if your hands are shaking. You found out that the secret to getting started is not some magic burst of energy, but simply breaking your goal into tiny steps and giving yourself permission to start small. Procrastination loses its power when you stop chasing perfection and start taking action, even if it is just for 5 minutes. You discovered that discipline is not about being perfect every day. It is about showing up again and again, even when you would rather do anything else. You learned that pain and setbacks can actually help you grow, as long as you use them as fuel instead of letting them stop you. You saw why clear, simple goals make it easier to track your progress, and why writing them down or sharing them with others gives you a better shot at sticking with them. You now know that your environment matters too. When you are surrounded by people who take action, you naturally pick up their habits and their energy. You picked up some simple tools for mastering your time and focus, like planning your day, protecting your golden hours, and saying no to things that do not move you closer to your dreams. And you saw that failure is not the end of your story. If you treat it like feedback, you become stronger and smarter with every mistake. The real turning point is always the same. It is that single moment when you finally decide, enough waiting, enough doubting, enough planning. Today, I take the first step. That step is what sets everything else in motion. It does not have to be big or perfect or impressive to anyone else. If you remember one thing from this video, let it be this: action always beats inaction. Tiny steps, taken every day, will change your life more than any big, one-time effort. You do not have to wait until you feel ready. You just have to start. So as you move forward from here, keep these lessons close. Remind yourself that you have everything you need to begin right now, no matter how small or scared you feel. The future belongs to people who move, not people who wait. You are the only person who can write your story. And today is a pretty good day to pick up the pen. Now, before you go, let's talk about what to do next so you keep this momentum going. Now, here is your challenge. Do not just close this video and go back to your old habits. Pick one thing you have been putting off, no matter how small it is, and do it today. It could be making a call, sending an email, writing one line in your journal, or going for a 10-minute walk. The size of the step does not matter. What matters is that you move. Once you have done it, come back and share your win in the comments below. You might be surprised how many people are in the same boat as you, and you could inspire someone else to start too. Use the comments as your accountability wall. Tell us what you did and what you want to tackle next. You are not alone. Every single person here is working on something, and we are all in this together. If you feel stuck, go back to any chapter in this video. Play it again, or write down the lesson that hit you the hardest. Keep these ideas close until they become part of your everyday life. And if you want more real talk, more tools, and more stories to help you keep taking action, watch the next video that is popping up on your screen right now. Subscribe for daily motivation and support, because your journey does not stop here, and neither does this community. Let today be the start of your story. Now get out there and take that first step